35 dead, and it's not marked in any way, shape, or form. It's not really talked about, which is interesting because the war crime files has the most on pretty much this one. And it's a lot of Canadians are killed here. The incident I'm discussing here on a previous live stream is the murder of 35 Canadian prisoners of war by the 12th SS in a field in between the Misener Patrie and Fontenay-le-Pesnel. They were captured during the fighting on June 8th, 1944. They were on their way back towards the 12th SS headquarters, where they were stopped and murdered in a field where they were buried. Most of these prisoners of war were from the Royal Winnipeg Rifles and were taken prisoner during the fighting at Fontenay-le-Pesnel, where a 12th SS counterattack against the Canadians failed, much like their other counterattacks throughout Normandy early in the fighting. So this is the spot, I think, for obvious reasons. It's not anything remarkable, particularly in this area of Normandy. It's a farmer's field. There's lots of them. Canadians were being marched away from the fighting. They were pretty much intercepted by the commander, Wilhelm Mohnke, one of the most straight up psychopathic, nasty Nazis ever to exist, who died peacefully in his bed, and he basically intercepts them. There's a whole series of events where other POWs are taken to his headquarters. He's basically pissed off and intercepts these guys and says, just kill them all. Because some get away, because they basically put them in a circle and then form a semicircle around them. So those at the back are maybe able to make a break for it. Captured again later, so their stories are captured, after the war. Some of them. Corporal H.C. McLean of the Winnipeg Rifles was one of those who escaped the massacre. He gave his testimony in June 1945. McLean was asked about the arrival of more SS troops and what happened when they arrived. He was asked, did they start firing immediately after their arrival? He answered, they were in front of us and then got the order to fire. They were in a sort of semicircle. He's asked what they're doing in the meantime. He answers that they're simply sitting down and waiting. He's then asked, did you not get to your feet when you saw what they were doing? Lieutenant Ferguson, who was killed in the massacre, issued the order, and the artillery officer said, whoever is left after they fire the first round, go to the left. Why did he tell you to go to the left? He answered, it was towards our own lines. It's followed by, so you realize you were going to be shot? He answers, yes, sir. The questioning continued. What happened when the shooting started? McLean answered, after the shooting started, those of us left made a break for it. What did you do yourself? I took to my feet and forgot about my wound. Went across the field and got into a grain field. Laid down to get my wind and then met Ferris. Just under the cover of darkness. Did you hear any firing going on after you ran? Yes, I judged they were finishing off those that were left. Machine gun fire it appeared to be. Did you hear any shouts or cries? Yes, I heard lots of groans. Did you see anybody hit? The fellow in front of me, the bullet hit him that got me, I believe. He was right in front of me. Were you hit yourself by any of this firing? Yes, wounded in the leg, flesh wound. And was any firing directed at you after you made your break? Yes, plenty of it. And were you hit by any of that firing? No. Rifleman Gordon Ferris, also of the Royal Winnipeg Rifles, and who was previously mentioned, also gave testimony about the massacre. He's also asked about where they were and how they were marched into the field. Turned right into this field? Yes, sir, about 75 yards in, and there they put us in a circle and as close together as they could get us, and they ordered us to sit down, and we stayed that way for about 15 minutes. Now, were the guards all close to you? No, sir, there was about 3 watching us. About 3, eh? Yes, sir. Were you all packed quite closely together? Yes, sir. Do you remember what direction you were facing? We were facing toward the main road. Facing the main road or the road you came in on? No, I think it was the main road, sir. What happened to you then? We stayed there about 15 minutes, and then they, the guards, formed a semicircle, and then they walked towards us for a few yards, and then they opened fire on us. After a further line of questioning about what troops these were and any possibilities of identifying their commander, he was asked, are you quite sure that no one made any attempt to escape at the time the firing started? He answers, no, sir. How do you know that? Lieutenant Baker told us to stay together and it would be better for us. Stay together? What do you mean by that? It would be better for us, more or less. Well, that would sound like hard advice to follow, as you believed you were going to be shot all the time. Yes, sir. Had you made any plans to escape? No, sir. I just made sure I was in a good position in case anything happened. Did you move around in the group to get a more favorable position? Not in the group, sir. Where were you in the group? Closest to the guards or farthest away? Farthest away, sir. What happened when the shooting started? Well, after the first shot was fired, sir, I ran about 100 yards and then fell down, and ran about 50 more yards to a wheat field, sir, and that is where I met Corporal McLean. Were you fired at while you were running? Yes, sir. Were you hit? No, sir. Were you able to get cover in this grain field? Yes, sir. But this is definitely the spot. I took a little bit of detective work to find it, both online and in person. So this is it today. So this I was able to identify. This is not a road here. That's the farm path, and then that's into La Fontenay. So it's just on the side of the road, tree line road. You got nothing to tell you. So this is the map from the war crimes trial. So this is that main road you saw. That's the tree-lined one here. So that's this paved road here is this thicker line here. So it goes to Carpiquet. And then this road is no longer a road. I think it was just a farm trail at the time, and it is still today. So this is how I was able to determine where it was. Because again, these numbers are graves. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 are single graves of various Canadians. So you have a Corporal Scott, Lance Corporal Brown, Lance Bombardier Grant, a Rifleman Lewis, and then this number 5, which is also bigger, is 31 Canadians buried in a mass grave, right where they're killed. So you can see that, where the troops make the break for it is through these fields, but it was dark. So that helped them get away. They started firing into the darkness. It's another one that is basically not covered at all. And it's, I think, the biggest in one time of Canadians killed. Like, it's even bigger than the Abbaye. And there's nothing marking it at all. The accounts of this massacre are heartbreaking of what happens. It's just, the details are harrowing.